Hello guys, we have another game here. Welcome to Socotra. Another chaotic game we have here. Mr. Scouting playing as the English in the color yellow, already going there for that juicy boar at the middle against his opponent. Playing as the Rus is Anotand. Let's get back into the game because we have this map is quite action-packed. I'm not gonna lie to you. We can't expect anything to happen normally here, just because of how small this map is. And let me tell you, it doesn't have fish, so it's just like that. And the water can be used for like military ships and whatever, just to, you know, some interesting strategies that can happen. And it's a map that has very little food, so it's, I believe English here is like very good. Potentially you can think about a White Tower rush. Like, I think it's one of those maps that you kind of have to, because it's so small that if you put it here on the middle, like, you already have almost all the map control, right? So it's one of those situations where English, it's very popular in these maps, especially in the tournaments that we have seen in the past. We've seen a lot of English in this map before, which is not surprising. I mean, they got a lot of cool defenses. They have the king, they have the council hall, they have the White Tower. Meanwhile, the Rus, I will be surprised if we don't see a Kremlin coming up for the Rus here, especially around here. And, you know, Mr. Scouting need to scout this out. There is a stealth forest here, so there's still the possibility that you can build this landmark here and your opponent doesn't notice. That could happen. You need to be careful because these villagers are English villagers and they do have quite a lot of attack range, 5 attack damage. So you don't want to mess with those. Anyway, it's gonna be the Golden Gate. Interesting choice. Now I have a feeling that both players will just want to go to the Castle Age, just because the English just went to the board. Look at that. Council Hall here in the middle of the map, gonna be rallying those Lombos right away into Anotand's base. I will be panicking right now. It's like, oh my god, English player, Council Hall in the middle of the map. What a way to start the game, what a way. This is one of those moments where I, maybe, when I see this, like, I just regret, like, not going for the Kremlin. Just in these situations. I don't know if Anotand will just have like enough time to just go to the Castle Age, if that's his plan. But looks like Mr. Scouting is not gonna be looking for that Castle Age that we were talking about earlier, you know, just that White Tower and just pretty much securing the game for the English. That is so easy for them. It's just gonna be able to just put some pressure with the Lombos and see how it goes. Already putting an outpost here just to buff all those units. It's gonna be a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. Now the good thing about Anotand is like he actually have access to knights, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. You have a stable, and those knights are just gonna be dealing very good against those Lombos. Mr. Scouting needs that barracks right away. He needs that barracks. Otherwise, it's just not gonna be having a good time. And we see the first knight coming up for Anotand. Oh my god, what is this map? What is this map? Oh my god. I don't even need to check the other, you know, the other player's base, because your landmark is just so close to your base that it's just nasty, man. It's just nasty. First knight is gonna come up. Meanwhile, no barracks yet for Mr. Scouting. It's a scout a little bit more because he's gonna have a knight directly into the council hall. There is an outpost here, so it's still gonna be saving some villagers, but never mind. Already pulled some villagers. Only 5 villagers here, so he's not gonna be risking anything yet. It's gonna be getting some wood, and there you go. Proxy barracks already coming up for Mr. Scouting. Meanwhile, Anotand's knight. Let's take a look at his vision, what he sees. So he's scouting the base. right? He noticed a consing hall, which I'm sure he already know. He also noticed the barracks, and that's the answer. Just more archers for himself. Now the Golden Gate is gonna be quite useful here, now that I think about it. Just because, most likely, you will get one of those resources denied. And the knights already arrive here and gonna be taking down those lombos. No spearman yet for Mr. Scouting, and unfortunately he's gonna lose those couple of lombos that are really valuable at this point in the game. Looks like Anotand may potentially lose the scout, but looks like he managed to escape. Now Anotand may be looking to deep dive into the base, but maybe not a good idea against the English, so maybe he pulls back for now. Use those knights more to defend. Already have some archers here to defend himself. And Mr. Scouting just have to go back to square one, you know? I really like the idea of that proxy consing hall, but at the same time, it's like you need to do something with it. The problem is your opponent is really safe in his base. There is a point where you can attack here, but at this point you just need the spearman with you. And look at that. Looks like Mr. Scouting has enough vision to actually make those lombos attack those villagers, which is quite good for him. Vision is quite important in this map. Knights gonna be rushing to get those lombos, but spearmen are already here, but just a couple of them. Looks like archers will be able to take down those spearmen. Only just a couple of spearmen, not gonna be enough against those knights. And Anotand just pulls all the villagers to take down this outpost. He knows how important that buff is, and not only that, you have 5 villagers here. And looks like the villagers will try to repair, but unfortunately for him, not enough units. And the problem is that now Mr. Scouting, what appeared to be a really good position for him, getting the boar and getting those proxy buildings, now it's something that it's actually hurting him. Just because now all your production is at the front and it's being camped. So any unit that comes out from here is just gonna die immediately. Now, not everything is lost for scouting. That's why I was really I was a big fan of the White Tower Rush in this map. And I believe, like, if you manage to get this map in the rank pool, you gotta play English. You gotta White Tower Rush. That's the way here. It's gonna be an easy win for you if your opponent doesn't know how to handle it. The bad thing is they may be able to scout it out, because the map is so small that you will be able to check all the villagers coming into your base, and you will be able to react on time. But, you know, still kind of works. Wooden Fortress coming up for Anotand, and he's gonna be securing the boar. Still plenty of food for him. I'm trying to click here. There you go. Only 500 food left. And he's gonna be torching that landmark. This, you know, that's what you got today. Plenty of villagers in gold. Looks like he's gonna be pumping more and more knights. He's gonna be committing to that feudal age. Not gonna be thinking about going to castle or anything. I think he's in a really good spot. Villager gonna be building an outpost here in the middle. And now that Consing Hall is denied, he's in a really rough spot, to be honest. 6 knights out there. Not the best. Not the best time to be English. And well, not so many archers coming from Anotand, so still there is a possibility that Mr. Scouting managed to do some damage if he gets some time, but Anotand is not gonna let him. And he's gonna be torching down that Consing Hall. At the same time, is he macroing for going that castle age? Has plenty of food, and you do have the Golden Gate, so you can potentially sell some resources and just go for it. Meanwhile, the English need to make pretty much all your production building again. Couple of archery range on the barracks. It's basically what he has here. That's a really tough position, to be honest. I mean, with so many knights, you gotta mass a lot of spearmen. Meanwhile, Anotand, having plenty of food. Looks like he's gonna go for that castle age. Potentially we'll be able to sell some of those resources, especially the wood. Meanwhile, another hunting cabin and more walls coming for the roost here, securing pretty much half of the map. Lombo's gonna be dealing with those archers, and now the spearman gonna be dealing with those knights. Not enough spearmen here. 5 spearmen is not gonna be enough against those knights. Looks like Anotand pulls back for now. He knows he needs this army for the castle age. Oh my god. That's the saddest council hall ever made. And there you go. High Trade House is on the way. +1 range armor coming for the English. You're gonna need way more than that at this point. Mr. Scouting with a little bit of an issue here. Plenty of Lombos, but not enough spearmen. You're gonna need even maybe twice the amount of spearmen that you actually need when the opponent actually upgrades those knights into castle age units. More walls coming up here. Very, very useful walls. Considering you already have the wooden fortress here, like, you're in a really, really good spot. Deer is also being gathered here. So he's gonna have a decent food economy, and Anotand already reached the castle age. Gonna be having those elite upgrades soon. Sorry, veterancy upgrades. Blacksmith coming up for him as well. Meanwhile, the English struggling. Never a good time to eat the berries. It's never a good time in your life when you're eating those berries. Whether in real life or in game, you always want to eat that juicy meat. If you ever have access to. And there you go, veterancy for those units. It's coming for Anotand. And Mr. Scouting will need more than a miracle here to survive against that many knights. 18 Lombos not gonna make it. These are already veteran knights. Have plenty of health, more damage, more armor, +1 range armor coming up for him. Anotand is just taking his time, you know? He doesn't want to engage right away. Mr. Scouting, unfortunately for him, very far away from aging up. Very far away. He's gonna be able to torch down this wall. Looks like it's not gonna happen. Now the +1 range armor is there. I think Anotand should be more than happy to actually push into the English base. Lombos. Not quite enough damage here. And unfortunately, not enough spearmen. Man-at-arms are starting to join into the composition of Anotand's army. And with those man-at-arms, everything is gonna get really hard for Mr. Scouting. Looks like he's already committed to the field age. It's like it's all in feudal or nothing. Wall goes down finally. Single man-at-arms protecting the villagers. And now more knights. Now it's time for Anotand to deep dive into the English base. Already grabbing those relics at the same time. And now with those knights, those villagers will finally, I don't know if it's a punishment or or a reward. They don't need to eat those berries anymore. They're gonna have to be able to chop some wood to make some farms. A lot of spearmen there for Mr. Scouting. Looks like there's a lot, but it's actually not much. It's really hard to see. And it's very hard to take those down. More relics coming for Anotand. And now those are a lot of units from the Rus. A lot of archers are already here. So it looks like finally Anotand will just go for that push. Unfortunately, not enough spearmen. Longbows not doing enough DPS against those knights. Walls coming up, but it's a little bit too late. Man-at-arms will be tanking that damage as well, and those archers are just gonna be doing quite a lot of DPS. Now Anotand deep dive into the base, but it doesn't matter. Last 2 range armor, it's already there. So these guys can just stay here forever. Like there's nothing that can make these knights leave this base. Mr. Scouting now with a problem with the wood. Man-at-arms are already here. Plenty of units are already arriving in the base, and he taps out. Guys, welcome to Socotra. Probably the wildest map this season.